Hey, everybody, welcome to the channel that takes you deep inside the San Francisco 49ers. I'm your host, Jack Hammer. I am here live at Levi Stadium where the San Francisco 49ers today took down the Arizona Cardinals by a score of 35-16. A big win for the 49ers as they moved to 4-0 on the season here early on. The first game of October, first big win. You know, you go back, you look at this game, I think the 49ers, when you look at their offense, I would say that Kyle Shanahan played this game like he wanted his offense to gut the Arizona Cardinals. If you don't get that reference, remember, Jonathan Gannon was the defensive coordinator last year of the Philadelphia Eagles. Last season, before the start of the NFC Championship game, there was video of Jonathan Gannon telling some of the fans out in Philadelphia before the game that the Eagles were going to gut the 49ers that day. That wasn't the way that it went down today for the 49ers. A huge win. Again, 35-16, a game that was a little bit closer than I think a lot of people expected it to be. I know myself in particular was one of those. The 49ers, though, then pulled away, and it wasn't necessarily tight all the way through. The 49ers opened this game up with some big plays on offense, some big plays on defense. They opened up a quick 14-0 lead. We'll go all through it tonight on the 49ers Cardinals instant reaction and takeaway show right here on Inside the Farms with Jack Hammer. Want to shout out Mr. G, 49er 00, says, hi, Jack. How you doing, Mr. G? Good to have you on board with us today. Also, we got Showtime 2118 who says, hi, Jack. Hi, Showtime. Good to have you on board as well. You know, you go back, look at this game. It was a nearly perfect game from Brock Purdy. But Brock Purdy, we're going to get to him in a minute. We're going to start off with Christian McCaffrey. You can't talk about today's game without talking about Christian McCaffrey. You know, the Cardinals came into this game allowing an average of 4.6 yards per rushing attempt. That was one of the lowest numbers in the NFL, seventh lowest to be exact. Christian McCaffrey went out there, and Christian McCaffrey, all he did was he went out there and went for over 100 yards, 5.3 yards per carry. On top of that, he had 3 touchdowns today, 2 rushing, 1 receiving. Just a phenomenal day for Christian McCaffrey overall. You look at his numbers again on the day. He had 106 yards rushing, 71 yards receiving, 27 total touches on the day. So 20 carries for 106 yards, 7 catches for 71 yards. His 5.3 yards per rushing attempt, over a half yard better than what Arizona had been allowing coming into this game. You know, you look at the rest of the 49ers running game. Jordan Mason, he stepped into that second running back role with Elijah Mitchell out. He, along with Deebo Samuel and Kyle Juszczyk, were able to pick up just 19 yards on 8 attempts. It really shows you how good this game was for McCaffrey. He came out, he was right off the bat, 17 yards on his first couple of carries of this game. He was solid. A couple of really nice receptions. The 49ers today were definitely had throws into their running backs as part of the script in this game. There was a couple of times where they hit, where Brock Purdy hit Christian McCaffrey on like a little Texas route where he basically goes to the edge of the line and then cuts back up inside. They ran that a couple of times to McCaffrey. They also hit Jordan Mason on one of those as well when Mason was in there. But, you know, McCaffrey, again, you know, just big numbers on this day for him. And then also he set the 49ers franchise record when it comes to number of games with a touchdown. Jerry Rice came into today holding that record. They were actually tied for the record for the 49ers franchise in terms of games with at least 1 touchdown. But today you saw that go by the wayside with the big play from Christian McCaffrey. He overtook that record. So Christian McCaffrey, not only does he get 3 touchdowns today, but he's got them in so many games in a row that he now has the 49ers record in that regard. And at one point, you know, it looked like you might have a couple of 49ers records go down in terms of, you know, first off, McCaffrey passing Rice in terms of number of consecutive games with a touchdown. For a little bit there, it looked like Brock Purdy might also catch Joe Montana and Steve Young and be able to break their record in terms of the number of completions to start off a game. You know, Brock Purdy today, just a phenomenal day overall. 20 of 21, 270 plus yards throwing the ball, only 1 touchdown, so he kind of lagged a little bit there. But you look at it, and that's just a joke, everybody. But you look at his day again, 2021, 283 yards. He averaged 13.5 yards per attempt. He had the 1 touchdown. His quarterback rating today, 134.6. His QBR, which is the ESPN stat, 97.2 out of 100. That's how good Brock Purdy's day was today. I don't really like the QBR all that much because really, when a team's leading all the way through, that QBR gets artificially inflated, even if the quarterback usually doesn't do that well. But in this case, when you have a quarterback miss only one throw, that's a pretty good day. Again, 20 of 21 for 283 today for Brock Purdy. And it wasn't just the short stuff. He actually went down the field a few times. He had a deep throw to Brandon Ayuk in the first half. A big gain of 42 yards. That was what Brock Purdy after the game called an opportunity ball. One where he hit his back foot. He saw Ayuk open down the field, was going to give him an opportunity, put it out there where he could go run to it. Ayuk did a really nice job of reacting to where the throw was, tracking that ball, making the reception for a big 42-yard gain. The two in the second half connected on a 25-yarder on a deep over route, which kind of turned in almost like a deep corner for 25. And then on the 49ers' final possession of the game, they connect on a 20-yarder down the left sideline. Ayuk running a go route down the left sideline, Purdy throwing it where he had to, like a back shoulder type of throw, and a really nice completion from the two there. But again, this performance for the 49ers offense was just completely dominant. Starts off with Christian McCaffrey. Like I said, he opened up the game with a 6-yard run, came back on the second run, another 6-yard run. You look at the first series of the game for the 49ers, Christian McCaffrey touched the ball on 6 of those 8 plays. He had a run for 6, 2 runs for 6 yards, a completion for 12, a completion for 12, and then a couple of runs up the middle, the last one being a touchdown from 1 yard out. So just a really solid start to this game for McCaffrey, and that carried through. Like I said, that was one of the main themes in this game was Christian McCaffrey. 27 touches, a lot of touches for him. Long break coming into this game, so a very solid performance, though, out of McCaffrey overall. So you got to really give it to him. Brock Purdy, like I said, a solid day as well. 20 of 21, 283, nearly perfect, everybody. 13.5 yards per attempt. That's the big number. He threw the ball. He threw the ball today just 21 times. He had 283 yards. Think about this. On the other side of the ball, you had Joshua Dobbs for the Arizona Cardinals today. He threw the ball 41 times, and he had fewer passing yards today than did Brock Purdy, even though he threw the ball nearly twice as many times. He was 28 of 41 for 265 and a couple of touchdowns. But you compared that to where Purdy was today, 20 of 21, 283, 13.5 yards per attempt. That's a big number there for Brock Purdy today. Good stuff out of that 49ers offense. Cobra Studio coming in, or Cobra Status 510 coming in. He says, doesn't say anything, doesn't give me anything other than the super chat. I appreciate that super chat, Cobra. Thank you very much. If you had a question that you wanted to be asked with it, go ahead and make sure you put that in, and I'll ask that. I'll say it as I go through here. Let me see what else we got over. I want to make this is my instant reaction show. These are my reactions, but I also want to take your questions and get your thoughts on the game too. I don't know if you guys saw it, but after the game, there was a little bit of a kerfuffle on the field between Tela Hufanga and James Conner. We'll get to James Conner in a minute because that was a big piece of this game today as well. Randy Milliken, a member of the Toolbox, says, "Hi, Jack. How you doing? The worst YouTube ever. I got to learn how to speak. This show would be a lot better if I could just talk. I did a show yesterday. It was a really good show in terms of the views, all those types of things. Man, I looked at it afterwards, and then if your boy could just talk, we could actually have a good channel here. But the worst YouTuber ever, probably me, with the way that I talk on here, says it was a great day for Brock. Yeah, it was. Look at that. I'm sending messages to myself now. Niner Cali Boy says, great game. Good to see the boys live. Yeah, it was a really good game. Second home game of the season for the 49ers. They're going to be back here next week for the Cowboys. Andrew says, what are you doing on the field, Jack? And working you out? Hey, my arm's a little sore from working with my kid, but you know what? I think I could probably go out there and throw a good 20-yard duck over to the sidelines to Coach Shanahan. I can be a good guy to go out there and throw to the defense. I can replace him. I can go out there and throw those interceptions to the defense during the early portions of practice when he's usually out there playing quarterback. Savory Movie 197 says, 49er fans, welcome to Brocktober. Purdy always seemed to play his best ball in the month of October when he played at Iowa State. Savory Movie, that's a great one. I saw that on Twitter. It might have been from you on Twitter over there. I don't know. Some of the handles are different, but there you go. Welcome to Brocktober, 49er faithful. It is Brocktober time. That's a good one. I might have to use that in one of my write-ups here pretty soon. 420 Savage Cow game plan. More CMC. More. Yeah, no, they took it right to him. You look at this game from Kyle Shanahan's game planning standpoint. The 49ers today had 8 offensive possessions. On those 8 offensive possessions, they scored 5 touchdowns. 2 of those offensive possessions came at the end of the first half when there was only 20 seconds left to go and they kneeled down to go into the half. At the end of the game, after it was 35-16, there was 1 punt in this game for the 49ers. There was only 1 time where they actually tried to move the ball down the field that they did not score a touchdown. That is how good this performance was from the 49ers. Obviously, again, led by Christian McCaffrey, also with Brock Purdy and Brocktober playing a big part of this as well. Just a tremendous offensive game, big numbers. And to think about the fact that they went 20-21 for 280 today, and Deebo Samuel ended up playing. Deebo Samuel didn't practice for the 49ers all week, but he did play today. But you know what? He didn't even have a target. No, the ball did not come his way once in the passing game. They used him a couple of times in the running game, and just a really good stuff out of the 49ers offense today. Hiram Walls, a member of the Toolboxes. I was surprised at how good he looked today, Jack. Is this going to be your most fun Purdy game to break down? The one bad thing, we should have taken McCaffrey out earlier. Here's the thing really quick with the McCaffrey thing. The 49ers didn't have that many plays today. I know that McCaffrey had the ball a lot today. I kind of expected that he would with kind of the way that things were breaking in terms of the roster and things like that for this game. The 49ers ran only 53 offensive plays today, just 53. 27 of those, though, to McCaffrey. So McCaffrey touched the ball on more than half of the 49ers plays today. So I get you there. They actually had the ball for less time today than the Cardinals, too. The Cardinals really chewed up the clock. They got the ball to start with and really ate it up. So, yeah, that's a good one. I want to get Jay Mill. I see your comment over there, and I'm going to get to that. I'm going to take this right now. Jay Mill says, I missed the game. Mom's dying of cancer. Glad I could tune in for a few minutes to watch Jack. Go Niners. Hey, Jay Mill. I wish you nothing but the best. Cancer is a horrible disease, horrible thing, and I can't say that I understand what you're going through. My parents, when they passed away, neither one of them had cancer, fortunately. However, my ex-wife, the mother of my 3 kids, was diagnosed with cancer last year. She's fighting through that and doing the best she can. So my heart goes out to you. I'll definitely say some prayers for you tonight. Hopefully everything goes okay. Just spend as much time with her as you can, and we'll be here for you when you get a chance, when you get a moment to watch 49ers football. Hopefully it helps take your mind off of everything else, and you can have some fun. I know that when I lost my mom, football was one of the things that really helped me out to get through it. The last night I spent with my mom was actually watching a football game. It was when she was having a good day in the hospital. I didn't realize it was going to be the last time I got to spend with her, but. Again, Jay Mill, I hope everything goes good for you. I appreciate you always watching the channel, but more than anything, man, I'm going to say a few prayers for you tonight. And, when you're ready to come back, every time you can jump in here, I'll be more than happy to see you. So you're a good dude, and my thoughts and prayers go out to you. Getting back to the game, Joyer Von Jing says the Niners were actually too efficient on offense. Didn't have much time of possession. Yeah, no, you're right. The big plays, right? They were just dominant. It was one of those things where the 49ers offense today, again, I made the joke earlier that it was like Kyle Shanahan wanted to gut the Arizona defense, because of the comments that were made by Jonathan Gannon out in Philadelphia. But yeah, you look at this game again, it was a clinic the way that this offense played tonight. That's what I put in my write-up, that Kyle Shanahan and his offense put on a clinic here at Levi Stadium. It was a tremendous performance, big numbers, big plays, big runs, explosive runs from Christian McCaffrey, explosive throws from Purdy to Brandon Ayuk and some of the others. You look at this again. You look at this game, and like I mentioned, you only had the one. You didn't have any targets for Deebo Samuel. The tight ends only had 1 target as well. George Kittle had 1 target today for 9 yards. That's it. 1 target for 9 yards. The only time the ball hit the ground was actually when Purdy was making a throw to Christian McCaffrey. So every other person that he threw a ball to today caught it. Just a really good Really good game overall. That offense was just super efficient. We would be remiss if we didn't talk about how good this 49ers offensive line was today. The 49ers offensive line today was really solid. You look at the numbers, they allowed, I think it was just one quarterback hit today. It was only, he had a little bit more than 20. He had the 21. Brock Purdy was only hit once. He was only hit once the entire time. He dropped back 21 times. He got hit once. That was a sack that was given up by Colton McKivitz, Dennis Gardeck getting that sack. But that was the only time that the Arizona Cardinals today hit Brock Purdy in the pocket while he was throwing the ball. Just a tremendous offensive performance from that offensive line. Really did a good job of protecting them, especially when you look at where they were coming into this game, the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals were one of the best teams in the league at pressuring the quarterback. And like I said, they only hit him once today. The pressure numbers on PFF will be interesting to see later this week when those come out. But the fact that they only hit him once, that's the big one for me. Quarterback hits, quarterback pressures are a big thing too. But the fact that they were able to keep Arizona off of them, especially an Arizona defense that came in here, like I said, one of the best pressure teams in the NFL, one of the teams that blitz at a very low rate, was able to usually in the first three games, was really able to pressure opposing quarterbacks with just their four-man rush. Today didn't happen, and Brock Purdy, you saw what happens if you don't pressure Brock Purdy. One of my concerns coming into this game was that you're going to see him dealing with a lot of pressure. He hasn't been great against pressure. He's been good against the blitz, but pressure is a little bit different. Because usually when you're getting pressure with just four, that means that you have smaller windows to throw the ball into. Well, not today. They gave him time, and he ripped a deep throw down the middle to Brandon Ayuk for that big 42-yarder, and then they connected a little bit later for a 25-yarder. The 25-yarder to Ayuk was basically the same play that Arizona had on one of their big shots, their one big shot that they had today on a long completion from Joshua Dobbs to Marquise Brown that went for 41. So you look at this, and then you also had the one down the sidelines. But you look at this game overall for the 49ers offense, I just thought it was a spectacular day for them. Like I said, I felt like they put on a clinic. And then you turn it over to the defensive side, and it was really good over there as well. Andre Robinson, did anybody mention any concern over our secondary? I don't really have a concern with the 49ers secondary other than this. I do have one concern. Ambry Thomas. The 49ers secondary, for the most part, they played a pretty good game today. Yeah, you had Arizona getting some yards, but that's what's going to happen when you're in a situation like they were today, where they're up by 14 early, so you kind of play a little softer because you don't want the opponent to get a big shot. So you play a little softer, keep everything in front of you, make them work their way down the field, and if they can do that, then you go ahead and you give them their due if they can do that once you already got that lead like they do, right? Like they did today. But man, Ambry Thomas, he cannot cover deep. He's a good corner if you're playing soft and you're trying to keep everything in front of you. He does a good job of coming up and making the tackle, all those kind of things. But when you ask Ambry Thomas to come up and get in a receiver's face and get up on him at the line of scrimmage, oh my goodness, he struggles. And I don't know what the reasoning was. We didn't get a chance to ask Steve Wilkes this. We'll try to ask him this week on Thursday, I guess. Maybe we can ask Kyle Shanahan the question tomorrow and see if he knows the answer. But for whatever reason, they took Isaiah Oliver off the field in the second quarter, and they put Ambry Thomas in at the outside. So when the 49ers do that, they're putting one of their two best outside corners in the slot because they're trying to get Deommodore Lenoir in there. I don't really know. I don't know if there was something that Oliver was doing wrong. That's why they made the change. I don't really know what the reason for it was because I didn't ask Kyle Shanahan that after the game. I forgot. I was thinking about other stuff. But man, they put Ambry Thomas out there, and right away they went after him deep. It was an overthrow, but the receiver was behind him. He was the open. It was just a bad throw by Dobbs. Came back on the next play, went deep to Michael Thomas again. Thomas, the rookie out of Stanford. That time he hit him for a 33-yard gain along the left sidelines, a big play. They came back after that on the very next play, went right back to the left side, this time with a corner over there, and Thomas kind of got caught in between the flat and the short and the deep receiver there, and it's a touchdown. And that was at the end of the first half. The 49ers then down the ball. We went in halftime when the 49ers came back out, the first possession. The rest of the way, no Ambry Thomas. It was right back to Isaiah Oliver in the slot, which allowed Diamondo Lenore to get outside. When the 49ers have Diamondo Lenore and Traverse Ward on the outside, they're okay. They're good. They're going to give up some catches every once in a while. But for the most part, you're not going to see blown coverages around on the field. They're pretty good on the edge. Isaiah Oliver is a pretty good nickelback. He's not really good, but he does a good job of playing the run, and he's tough inside. He's not going to be able to chase guys across the field, but most guys can't chase guys across the field. That's why generally when you play in the slot, you're kind of playing inside or outside leverage so that you don't let them across the field, or you're trying to force them to have to run to the out and so on. So, when they get up in tight man coverage and you start running those crossers, and that's really where that passing game, that pass rush needs to come in and help them out. And that's the only time that we saw him get beat today, really, in Isaiah Oliver. I thought he played a fine game. I don't know what he was off the field for, but a bad move there. This is a good one too. 420 Savage, I'll bring his up first. He says he thinks that the Arizona quarterback might be better than Murray. That sounds crazy because Murray was a top quarterback. He's he was a Heisman Trophy winner in college and all these types of things. But I think he might not be all that wrong. You look at this game today, and the reason that this game was even close, the reason that Arizona was able to stay in this game was because of Joshua Dobbs. Joshua Dobbs played a hell of a game today. Yeah, his offense only scored 16 points, but he had to will this team because one of my big things coming into this game, if you saw my pregame show, was the 49ers linebackers against James Conner. They had to stop James Conner. They had to make Joshua Dobbs beat them. I didn't feel like the 49ers would lose this game if Joshua Dobbs had to win that for the Cardinals. They took away, especially early on, James Conner, some really nice tackling. Early on in the game, it was Dre Greenlaw all over the field. Then as the game went on, you saw Fred Warner come up and be able to smack him a couple of times. Conner finished the day with 11 carries for 52 yards. Pretty good stuff, but they never got him rolling. And the fact that they were able to shut down Arizona early. Remember, Arizona came into this game having scored points on 11 of their 15 first half possessions. The 49ers come out here on the first two. They shut down the Cardinals, force punts. The offense goes down and scores points. Now it's 14-0. Now the Cardinals can't necessarily just sit and run the ball like they want to do. They just can't, they've got to try to score as quickly as they can. They have to try to do what they do. And the 49ers had some mistakes along the way, but at the end of the day, they held them to just 16 points. Yeah, they moved the ball, but they held them to just 16 points. It was a good performance by the 49ers defense today. You look at the Andre, I like your answer there. Okay, first world problems, I guess. You got that right because the 49ers are so good. That does qualify as a first world problem, that question about the backfield. But you look at this game today, you look at the linebacker play. Dre Greenlaw, Fred Warner, they led the way for the 49ers defense. They each had 10 tackles. Also, they each had 8 solo tackles. So they were making tackles by themselves. It wasn't a lot of, at least for Greenlaw and Warner, it wasn't a lot of help on those tackles. 16 solo tackles between Dre Greenlaw and Fred Warner, each of them getting 8. They did a really good job of smacking James Conner in the mouth. James Conner, a big bruising runner who runs the ball really hard, and he's fast, and he can make you pay. That's why even though he struggled early on, he was held to only like 5 yards in the first quarter. He ends up with 52 on 11 carries. That shows how good he got. He was able to kind of pick it up as the game went along. But just a really good play today out of Dre Greenlaw and Fred Warner. And one of my favorite plays today was from Dre Greenlaw. Was a play that didn't even end up counting in the play sheet, but it was a huge play because if he didn't do what he did, it's a long gain for Joshua Dobbs on a quarterback read option around the right side. I think it was in the second half. I think it was early in the fourth quarter. Dobbs runs an option around the right side, a little zone read that they do, and he's keeping the ball around the right side. Dre Greenlaw sees it. Boom, he starts to fire to go get there. And because he's attacking the quarterback, it forces the tight end to grab him, and that creates a holding penalty. So instead of a 15-yard gain for Arizona, they're backed up 10 yards instead the other direction. And then that, now having 1st and 20, even though they converted, remember, the 49ers are going to force you to go down the field on them. They're not going to give you big chunk plays most of the time. And so because of that penalty, yeah, they had to use up some of those positive plays to pick up the first down there, and then they ended up having to punt the ball away. That's when the 49ers went down the field and put the game away themselves with a 7-minute drive at the end of the fourth quarter to really put this thing and put it to bed. So just a really solid performance all around, I felt, tonight for the 49ers, offensively, defensively. You look at the pass rush; they're just so darn good in the middle of that defensive line. Nick Bosa is Nick Bosa, right? He's a stud. Nick Bosa tonight with 4 tackles for loss on the game, but he had 4 quarterback hits. Excuse me, no tackles for loss, but he had 4 quarterback hits tonight. Just a really nice performance from Nick Bosa. And then you look at Javon Hargrave in the middle. He had 2 quarterback hits. Eric Armstead with a quarterback hit, and throughout the game, there was just so much pressure. I'm really looking forward to seeing the pressure numbers on this one because there was pressure all around. And you got to tip your hat though to Joshua Dobbs because there was one tonight. I think it was Javon Hargrave that bust through, and he popped him right in the chest, and Dobbs was still able to complete an out route for a nice gain and pick up a first down. But this 49ers defensive line is scary good. And if they can stay healthy, if they can keep doing what they're supposed to do, if they can just tighten up when it comes to rushing the quarterback and stay in their rush lanes and not allow quarterbacks room to escape, watch out. Because this group right now is already one of the best in the league. I talked about it yesterday. 79 pressures coming into this game. And those pressures include hurries, quarterback hits, and sacks. Just really solid numbers out of this 49ers defensive line. They showed that again tonight. Javon Hargrave, like I said, 2 hits on the quarterback. Nick Bosa got 4, and then 1 of them for Eric Armstead. Nothing for Javon Kinlaw. I'll be interested to see what his numbers look like. He had 1 tackle on the day. Nick Bosa was held without a tackle. He didn't have a tackle at all. When you look at the 49ers defensive line, they didn't have very many tackles. Javon Hargrave was number 1 with 4. Eric Armstead had 2, and then the rest of them are down with 1. A lot of tackles today by the linebackers. 10 by Warner, 10 by Greenlaw, Diamador Lenore, Talanoa Fanga with 5, and then Tayshawn Gibson with 5. Isaiah Oliver with 4. So just a really solid game, though, for the 49ers all around. Let me see what you guys got going on. Anything Goes says, I just don't like Wilkes playing a soft cushion on short yardage, allowing receivers to get off the ball and underneath, especially on quick throws. And I get it. So let's go back to I'll put this one up there as we talk about it. I understand what you're saying, and I understand that too. When it's a 3rd and 2 or 3rd and 1, you'd really like to see him be able to get up and get tight. But again, I think some of that just depends on the game situation. The number one thing you want to do as a defensive coordinator when you have a 2-score lead is you don't want it to become a 1-score lead real quick. If the opponent's going to make it a 1-score lead, you want them to have to chew up a lot of clock to get there, right? So I think that's partly where this comes from, and we've seen him do this throughout the year where they can tighten up and they get loose and tighten up depending on the portion of the game that's going on. He talked about it after the Rams game where, that first half of that game was really just kind of feeling out what the Rams were doing. And then once they got a good feel for it, then they tightened up their defense. So I think that's what we're looking at a lot of times when you talk about Steve Wilkes. We'll see how it goes. I'm interested in finding out what their numbers were today. So we'll see how it goes. Sarah, the domestic goddess, said, needed this win, Jack. My sweet 14-year-old son is in critical condition. We've been with him in the hospital since Friday, and it's been very scary. Football is a good reprieve distraction. Hey, Sarah, again, kind of like I was mentioning earlier with Jay Mill. Thoughts and prayers out to you. I'm not sure what the situation is. You don't need to share it. That's fine. Just know that I'll say a prayer for you guys and for your son, for your 14-year-old boy. I have a son that's 13. That's my youngest. And so I couldn't imagine what it'd be like if he was in the hospital in critical condition and dealing with something right now. So I'll give you, my best goes out to you, and I hope everything turns out well. Sarah does say, though, that his fantasy football team did well because he has Ayuk and Kittle, so that's good. Hey, here's the thing, Sarah. I'm in fantasy football, and I had to play against my son today, my 13-year-old son, and he kicked my ass. Well, partly because he has Brandon Ayuk, but not only does he have Ayuk, he has Christian McCaffrey. I didn't have a chance. If it wasn't for McCaffrey, I might have had a chance today, but I didn't because he had Christian McCaffrey, and McCaffrey's 3 touchdowns, 177 total yards, 7 catches, and all that kind of stuff. Blew me out of the water today. So I'm going to go have a talk with him. He's going to be grounded tonight now after the beatdown he put on his old man today. I'll tell you that. Let me see. There was. I don't see the other one where 420 Savage says Greg gives a penalty. I remember that Bosa tackle for loss. Yeah, there was a tackle for loss, 100%, but it was wiped out by a penalty. It was a defensive holding on Javon Hargrave. That was on either the first or I think it was the second possession of the game. Yes, it was the second possession of the game for Arizona because they went 3 and out in the first one. So in that second possession, Bosa did have a tackle for loss, but it got wiped out by defensive holding on Javon Hargrave. Taylor Broussard joining the chat. He says, need to rewatch the game, but still feel like we were waiting for the defensive line to really impact the game. I don't know, but I totally disagree with this. I think the 49ers defensive line impacts the game all the time. The 49ers defensive line is what drives this defense. If it was left to this a secondary to do it, this defense would be a mess. Not cast any shade on Travis Ward or Diamondo Lenore, Talnu Fonga, Tayshaun Gibson, Warner, and Greenlaw, but it all starts up front with this defense. The pressure that they put on, they impacted. And I hear what you're saying from the standpoint of the stat numbers. If we look at the stats, again, 7 quarterback hits in this game by the defensive line. But I think when we go back and we see the pressure numbers and we can watch this game on film, we're going to see the defense really did impact it quite a bit. And you also got to tip your hat to the quarterback too, because there were a couple of times where they were right there to make plays, and Joshua Dobbs was able to make throws with guys in his face, guys hitting him, and all that type of stuff. So I think this 49ers defense played better than what it looked like on TV. And we'll, one of the things I'll say too is, if you like this channel, if you like my offensive film reviews, I've got to start doing 49ers defensive film breakdowns. I did a little one yesterday talking about how good the pass rush is. But in preparing for that show and having already watched it as I have, man, they need to be talked about more, because this is a really, 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 really good defense. There's a reason why they've only given up, 42 points coming into this game. You add 16 to it, they've only allowed 58 points now through the first 4 weeks of the season. That's pretty solid stuff. Let's see what we got. Yeah, he snagged McCaffrey, the little punk. I'm gonna have to go. He's gonna be grounded. Andrew says, Jack, do you think Dwelly or Warner will possess a ball this season? If so, who will first? Oh boy. If one of those two is going to make a catch, it's going to be Ross Dwelly, because Charlie Warner couldn't catch his breath. No, he just can't. Last year he was wide open twice on deep throws. The ball hit him in the hands and he dropped it. So I'm going with Ross Dwelly. Ross Dwelly has the best hands on the team. They just don't throw him the ball because he's not that good after the catch. He's a really good receiver. He actually has really good hands. He's a good athlete. He's just not good with it after the catch. Unfortunately, he's not bad. Don't get me wrong there, but he's not George Kittle. And one of the things that we saw today, it doesn't, again, plays that don't end up in the stat sheet, right? Early on in the game, you might remember there was a defensive holding on Arizona on Kyle Juszczyk. The 49ers had lined up Kyle Juszczyk as they utilized him a lot as that second tight end. He was lined up as a wing on the right side. He ran a corner. The defensive back had to hold him. The safety had to hold them, and it led to a first down and a 5-yard penalty. It would have been a big play otherwise. So, yeah, Dwelly and Warner aren't going to get the ball very much this year. It's mostly going to be, if there's a second guy that's catching it, like a second tight end, it's mostly going to come from Kyle Juszczyk, because that's how they're utilizing him right now. He's a fullback, tight end, H-back kind of a player. He can do everything for him, and that's one of the things with this 49ers offense. They guys can do everything. Glass City, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. $10. That's nice. That'll pay for dinner on the way home tonight. Says, I think Wilkes just needs to keep Demo at corner and put Oliver at nickel, at least until Womack is back. I think the constant positional change is a drawback, as it can throw off positional rhythm. I agree with you. I don't understand. Having seen them play it out now, I know that Oliver struggled a little bit in the preseason when he was playing with all the backups. But when Isaiah Oliver's on the field with the starting defense, Isaiah Oliver at nickel with Diamondo Lenore and Travis Ward on the outside, that's their best. Now, even going to Samuel Womack, I don't think Samuel Womack is better than Isaiah Oliver in the slot. We've already seen Samuel Womack play the slot, right? We saw him play in there last year, started the first couple of weeks of the season, then got replaced. I just don't see Samuel Womack as being that guy. I think it's where the 49ers went out, they got Isaiah Oliver thinking he was going to be their nickel, and I do feel like they just need to go ahead and they need to stick with him right now. Go with just ride it out as long as you can. You might have you're going to have some bumps in the road maybe, but this guy's really good again in that run game. And I just say don't bench him. Leave it the way it is. Glass City, thank you for that super chat. That's a great comment. We could do a whole show on that. I think that'd be a lot of fun. The great JM says, when is Nick Bosa going to show up? Nick Bosa, what's he going to show up? What are you talking about, JM? The 49ers had 79 total pressures coming into this game, one of the highest numbers in the NFL. You know what? Nick Bosa leads the 49ers in that category. He is the number one guy when it comes to pressuring the quarterback on the 49ers. His numbers don't show it in terms of sacks. Today, he had 4 quarterback hits, the most of any of the 49ers defensive linemen. Again, he's showing up. The 49ers defensive line is showing up. The 49ers defense is showing up. I understand the Cardinals, went out today. They scored 16 points. Remember, this is a Cardinals team that last week scored 28 against Dallas, a team that people are saying should be coming in here to beat the 49ers next week, and they might. You never know. Dallas is a pretty good team. They weren't healthy against the Cardinals offensively, missing 3 offensive linemen. But on defense, they weren't really all that good either. They gave up big play after big play in the run game, gave up 20 first half points, I think it was, 28 overall in that win against the Cowboys last week. Let me ask this. How the hell did Dallas Cowboys lose to the Arizona Cardinals? Whew. Oh, man. How about them Cowboys? Smash that like button, everybody. Val Ramos, thank you very much for the reminder. 420 Savage says, Dallas fans crying into the pillowcase tonight. Bang, bang, Niner gang. 4-0. They all hate us because they ain't us. LOL. Hey, the Cowboys put a beat down on Mac Jones in New England today, I think. I don't know what the final score of that game was. It was a blowout last time I saw the score in that one. So we'll see. Al Camillo Dorado, hope I hit that one right, says, Bosa going to crush the league the last 8 games. Chill. You got to chill. And I agree, Camillo. El Camillo Dorado, I agree. We need to chill, especially when it comes to Nick Bosa, because I kind of always talk back about how this offseason, how Steve Young said that if you keep knocking Brock Purdy because of the draft position, his size and arm strength and blah 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 blah, he's going to make you look dumb, whatever. That's kind of, I think, where we are right now with Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa was the NFL Defensive Player of the Year last year. He got paid. So because he got paid, people are going to expect more out of him. But right now, Nick Bosa is playing at a very high level. It doesn't show up on the stat sheet in terms of sacks and things like that. But when you watch the film, Nick Bosa is creating problems all over the field. And one of the things that Nick Bosa is doing is, even though he's not getting the numbers, he's creating the matchups that are allowing for Javon Hargrave to get sacks, like what we saw, for a guy like Drake Jackson to get sacks, Eric Armstead to get to the quarterback, Fred Warner to get to the quarterback. That all plays together. So it's not just Nick Bosa, it's not just Javon Hargrave, it's not just Eric Armstead. It's all of that group together. And that's what I like about this 49ers defense, is you really need to watch them on film to see how well they're playing in the front, and how good they're doing getting up the field, creating pressure on quarterbacks. And then once the ball comes out, how good they are at rallying to the ball, and not just one guy, but getting there in a swarm, getting there in a bunch where they don't allow the running back any room to go. He's got to basically just plant his foot up and go. Doesn't really have anywhere to go on that. So it's been really good so far for the 49ers. Daniel Cohen comes in. He says, Daniel Goheen says, could we not use another speed rusher? Yeah. Every team in the league could use another speed rusher. There's not one out there right now, right? There's not another speed rusher out there that you can just go out and get. You'd have to trade for him. So what are you going to give up? And a team isn't going to just give up a speed rusher without getting something in return. Do you want to give up a bunch of draft picks? That's okay. You want to give up a player who's good enough to get him? Not really, because I think the 49ers like their depth. And then you also have the salary cap piece of this. Do you want to give away a bunch of draft picks for a guy that's only going to be a 1-year rental? I don't think that's what the 49ers want to do because of their cap situation moving forward. I think what the 49ers really want is to stick with this team that they have. They want to use all these draft picks to restock this roster, because after this season, things are going to start to get tight. They can move money around and those kind of things. I just don't see them wanting to go out and make a big splash. Could they add another speed rusher? Absolutely. Danielle Hunter would be a fantastic trade if they could pull that off with Minnesota, especially since the Vikings stink so bad. But I just don't see it happening. But who knows? Last year I said if the 49ers could go out and get Christian McCaffrey, that would be the move to make. That was when everybody was talking about Brian Burns. This year, yeah, if the 49ers could add a Danielle Hunter, if they could add a pass rusher, that would be the move to make. But we got to see, what it would take to get there. And I don't think the 49ers want to give up all the picks that it would take to pull that off. We'll see. We'll see. Dirty Tree Rat 14. The Dirty Tree Rat 14. This guy, that's a great name. Dirty Tree Rat 14 says, "How about the Eagles?" Yeah, the Eagles. They almost lost. That was a wild game today with Washington, right? They had the lead. They're up by 7 late with less than 2 minutes to go. Washington scores to tie it up, and then a field goal for the Eagles wins it. That's good. Congratulations to the Eagles. They're 4-0. It's the Niners and the Eagles. Those are the top two teams. Dallas is right there as well. It's the 49ers, the Eagles, however you want to put them, 1 and 2. I don't care. 49ers and Eagles, and then you have the Cowboys. The 49ers and Cowboys playing tomorrow or next Sunday here at Levi Stadium. But it's 49ers Eagles. That's the matchup. And I got to say, watching the game today, one thing that I'm a little nervous about is that Eagles running game is way better than Arizona. And the 49ers struggled to stop the run today. Obviously, they started off hot, but then kind of slowed down. That's going to be that game in December out in Philadelphia is going to be a bloodbath when it comes to the physicality on a football field. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. I can't wait to see it. Taylor Broussard says, "I hear you, Jack, on the pressures, but high standards on this defensive line, highest paid unit on the team. Through 4 games, I think there's just expectations for more negative plays." I hear you. I don't know what the numbers were today. I'll go back and look. I know they gave up a few explosives in the passing game. I don't know about the running game. I think there might have been 1 or 2 explosives that they gave up in the running game, but they came in today having allowed just 5 explosive plays all season long. The 2 deep passes today for Joshua Dobbs, that was impressive because the 49ers came into this having not allowed a pass go beyond 20 yards past the line of scrimmage that was completed. Today was the first time we saw that. So again, props to Joshua Dobbs. All those good things are going to, they end at some point. Joshua Dobbs had some really nice plays today. You got to tip your hat to him. Still, though, that defense allowed only 16 points. And I get it. You want it, pressures are good. Sacks are better. If you can get the sacks, that's better. I 100% totally am with you on that, Taylor. If you can convert all these pressures into sacks, that's what you want to do. I'm with you on that 100%. That's just not what's going to happen, right? But I'm with you. I hear where you're coming from on that one. Ninja Dom says, "I'm pretty confident with who the Niners have on the defensive line. If they're going to go out and get a big player, I'd rather have it be an offensive lineman or something else. I would rather have it be a corner, if you could. If you could have a shutdown corner and then slide the Amador Lenore into the slot that way, yeah, that's different. But what they have right now doesn't work. And I don't think I'd even really like that all that much. But if you had to add one spot to put this 49ers team over the top, that over the top move is a corner, a shutdown corner. If there was a Deion Sanders out there somewhere, find him and bring him in. I know Patrick Surtain's the big name. Patrick Surtain II is the big name. I think I agree with Gloria here. I think that is the better option there. U-Haul says Cowgirls might have just lost to the Cards, who the 49ers just beat, but they watched the film. Absolutely. And also the Cowboys were playing without 3 of their starting offensive linemen in that game. And even with those 3 starting offensive linemen missing, they had a runner go over 122 yards. The number 1 back for Dallas had 122 yards rushing in that game. So they can run the ball. They can do some things. I don't think it's going to be a 30-point 49ers game, but I do think that if the 49ers can block up front, I think the 49ers are going to score enough to win on Sunday. We'll break that down as we get closer to it. But, that's it. Again, the 49ers, big win today. My number 1 game ball, if I was going to hand out a game ball today, the first one goes to Christian McCaffrey, 3 touchdowns. Just a huge day for Christian McCaffrey today. He ended up with 177 total yards of offense today on 27 touches, 3 touchdowns, 5.3 yards per rush attempt, over 10 yards per reception. First game ball goes to Christian McCaffrey. Game ball number 2 goes to Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy, 20 of 21 today, 283 yards, a touchdown. Also ran for a touchdown on the quarterback sneak there at the end in the fourth quarter. And then from there, Brandon Ayuk's got to get a game ball for his performance, 148 yards on 6 receptions. Offensive line allowing only 1 hit on Brock Purdy. Give all of them a game ball. I'm giving out game ball. Jed, we gotta buy more game balls, Jed. Get the pocketbook out. We need more game balls. And then also, I think that's where it ends really though. The offense gets a lot of those on the defensive side. Let's give one to Fred Warner. Let's give one to Dre Greenlaw, and then what the heck? Let's throw one over to Nick Bosa just because we had Taylor saying that he didn't do too good. No, I'm kidding, Taylor. He says he's 100% on adding a corner would help convert those pressures into sacks. Absolutely. That's kind of where it goes. All that pressures, they need a little bit tighter coverage on the back end. A lot of times when we see the sacks coming from the 49ers, it's because they're playing tighter on that back end. Edwards says that McCaffrey had 4 touchdowns. Okay, 4 touchdowns. You're right. He did. Jack, pull your head out of your butt. Darn it. I've been probably saying 3 the whole time. Edward, thank you for correcting me. See, that's why you guys need to speak up. When I screw up, just tell me that I'm wrong. Tell me that I'm wrong. Say, Jack, what are you doing? Come on. We're going to downgrade you. Randy says, yeah, CMC had 4 touchdowns. That's right. He had 3 rushing touchdowns, and he had that 1 catch. The touchdown for Purdy came on the touchdown. Gosh, darn it. That's terrible. I went for 45 minutes. It took you guys 46 minutes to tell me I was wrong. You can tell me I'm wrong anytime. If I don't like it, I'll yell at you. But no, thanks. And then Andrew says we got to give his boy McKivitz a game ball. No, I'm not giving McKivitz a game ball. He did good today, but he gave up the sack. So no game ball for Colton. He gave up a sack today. No game ball for Colton McKivitz. A good game for the 49ers, though. Hope you enjoyed it. Hey, that's my instant reaction and takeaways from 49ers Cardinals. Again, the 49ers a big win today. 35-16 over the Arizona Cardinals. Take it for what it's worth. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. If you can do me a favor, hit that like button. After you hit the like button, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you're watching and you haven't done so yet. And then last but not least, make sure you turn on your notifications because you don't want to miss any of the updates right here on Inside the 49ers with Jack Hammer. Hey, everybody, have a great rest of your Sunday. Thank you so much for taking the time to come in here and listen to me talk and support the show. Really appreciate it. You guys are great. Have a good day. I'll be back tomorrow. Hey, we might even have a film review tomorrow on the offensive side, and then defense might be coming up. Won't come up on Tuesday because I got too much work that day, but maybe Wednesday we'll be able to get to a defensive film review. What do you say? Or Thursday. One day this week we're going to get to the defense too, but offense will probably be tomorrow. There you go. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Appreciate every one of you. Have a good one.